All right, we'll get going here in another minute or so. Welcome.
It's
It's always nice to have somebody show up. I didn't see people online too, but
I didn't think it was online.
every presentation I do is always online. I try to use the same
I think
for all of them.
usually when it says location, it says like hybrid, but I must have missed it.
Yeah,
But you're welcome.
I appreciate it. All right.
I walked over in the cold.
And I see that it's set for 78 in here. It's sure not 78.
Yeah, that's sure not 78.
Morning, Siobhan.
Good morning.
Right, go ahead and get started. Thank you to everybody that is here, and there's more people, it looks like, that'll be joining as we get started here. This is one of my favorite presentations that I do each semester because it is where you guys get to see a whole lot of things in an hour. So my goal in this is not that you walk away and go, oh, I know how to do anything. It's more a matter of you walk away and you go, now I know what questions to ask. I've got some idea on something maybe I want to use, something a little different. I want to try that type of thing. So we're going to go over just a whole lot of different things. Some of it is a repeat from last semester. Some of it, like Conmigo, is new this semester. And there's some stuff that we're hopefully going to have for next semester coming up as well. So that said, we're going to take a look at Canvas, LTIs, Zoom, and then just some contact information, because even there's a change in that, believe it or not. We've just had something happen as of yesterday. So brand new information. So first of all, student login. All of your students, we're asking them to go to our homepage. At the top right, click on portal and log in that way. This gives them access to Canvas. It gives them access to my site. It gives them access to email. And come fall, it will give them access to Banner. So instead of them having to find and hot link everything and stuff like that, we want them to always go to this same location. One email address and their password automatically gives them access. By the way, the same thing works exactly the same way for you. You also have access to those same tools. You've got access to Workday, a lot of other things too. So take a look at that, but definitely encourage your students to use that to access Canvas instead of trying to go directly to the links. It does basically the same thing. For you guys, one of the nice parts is when you go into the apps portal in the upper right, click on Trust My Computer. And when you do that, it will automatically give you 4 hours instead of 15 minutes before it times out. So it's kind of a nice thing to know, especially when you're working at home and all of a sudden, just click on Trust My Computer. Now taking a little bit of look into Canvas itself. Smart Search. This is something you can turn on in your class. It works for you and for your students a little differently between them. This allows you to look through your whole class for every reference to a particular word or phrase or something like that, and it will show you every page, assignment, discussion, etc., that has that in it in the description. Does not go into question banks, and it does not go into like the the discussion summaries or something like that. But it will tell you where you've used a particular term. For instance, syllabus. Right now, you're swapping out your syllabus for another syllabus. Maybe it's nice to look and get that whole list and then right-click open in a new tab so you can just go through all of them at one time instead of trying to find the 5 places that you've used it. So it's a really nice feature for you. It goes through your whole class. For your students, it goes through all of this published work. So they can look at it, they can try to find more information, but it will only look at the published things. It does not look at anything that you've got that's not published. So a good feature for both. And really nice. I'm glad that they added this one. It's a really good feature. Along that same line, there's find and replace. Now, you're used to working in Word documents and stuff like that, and you hit Control F or Command F and you can find. This does that. Control F or Command F will do a find, but notice down below it, it also allows you to replace. So this does it within just that one rich content editor. So description, the page itself, it does not cross pages. So that's where the search comes in, and it's pretty nice to find that in the search and then go to that page and then find what you're looking for and do a replace there. This does not replace files, but it does replace text. So really nice, really easy to use. It's kind of like you've been used to using anyway. So try that out. So Command F or Control F. In the Canvas inbox, there is now a signature area. So I know a lot of people don't use the Canvas inbox. Your students are using the Canvas inbox. Myself, I learned as I've been teaching this last semester, I wound up using the Canvas inbox more than my email. I was surprised. You know, I assumed I would just use email, but it worked out nicely to have that Canvas inbox. And so you could put a signature on there. It can be a reminder of when your office hours are. It can be whatever is important to you, even your email address, whatever that is, you can put it in that inbox. So basically it's in the inbox settings. You can have it automatically send it, and during particular start and end dates too. So maybe you only want this for the semester, and once you're done with that semester, you're going to do it again anyway. So you could just swap that out pretty easily.
How did you turn
And
on
other
the
than that,
inbox?
it looks an awful lot like what you're used to with a response. So
How do you activate the inbox settings there?
So inbox on the left in Canvas,
Yeah.
and then in the upper right, there's the settings.
Oh, okay, I see there.
So, all right. The next one is assigned to. And by the way, I know I presented this last semester and a bunch of people didn't like it. I hope it improved. It's kind of a little iffy as to whether I like it or not, but the idea of the assigned to has now come up. It's in assignments, just like it's always been, discussions, quizzes, stuff like that. Down at the bottom, they had popped it out from the right. They got rid of that in those areas. Fortunately, that was the part that a lot of people really didn't like, me included. But what I do like is now you've got that same ability in other locations. So you don't have to go all the way into the assignment in order to do the assigned to. You also have the ability to do assigned tos for modules.
An entire module.
The entire module is now assigned to this one person, or it can be assigned to this one person early and the rest of your class after that, or something like that. So it's a really nice feature for working it out and giving you some different options. One thing it does not do yet, I've been told that they're going to do that, is do it by groups. So if you've got assignment groups or something like that that you're using, the assign to for the modules does not do groups yet. But we're looking for that hopefully very, very quickly, because that would be ideal, at least as far as I'm concerned. That would become much more useful.
When it comes, this is like an email question. When they email you through Canvas and it goes to like our Outlook, currently, if we want to if we need to attach something to that email, we have to go through the Canvas email inbox to then reply there and attach there. Is there any talk of being able to attach it to the email from Outlook or no?
So we've been asking since pretty much day one for Canvas to turn their inbox system into an email system.
And that's not,
And they actually have now, over the last 6 months, they've started saying, well, we're thinking about it.
that's the
um,
only thing I hate. That's a
So in the inbox, I don't like the fact that attaching something, you need to actually be in the inbox to attach it.
right.
The other thing I don't like is when you send an announcement, when you send an email message, an inbox message, and you put a nice picture in, or you put a header in that looks good or something like that, it strips it all out.
Yes.
And those two things are what I've been wanting since I started.
Okay.
And they have been for years. I've seen from 2015 on, I've seen comments, why can't you just do it
this.
right? So but they've finally admitted that, hey, now it's time.
Okay.
So
And it doesn't create an email thread, right, Tim? You can't, when you're responding from your inbox, there's no thread,
Right.
they'll reply, and it's a brand new message. That's a challenge as well.
agreed. And that's part of why I wound up using my inbox itself in
Yeah.
Canvas.
Yeah.
Is I found that it just worked really well, and then I kept all of it right there. I would see it on my email that came in, and then I'd go into Canvas and reply.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
absolutely. So one of the new features came out literally right before the spring semester, Lucid Spark and Lucid Charts. So this gives you the ability to do mind mapping. It's an external tool that lets your students organize and do things around concepts. It's not a replacement for Google Documents or anything where you've got a document there, but it will take and help somebody go through a logic. Our ESL department's using it quite a bit. They were using it, and then something happened and they didn't have enough free stuff, and then all of a sudden this was coming in. So they got really excited about it. I haven't seen a whole lot of people use it yet, but it's a nice tool that play with it a little bit, but play with it on your own first. When you go in and you set it up in Canvas, set it up in the left navigation, go into it, and it will force you to create an account. That account is free. You can then access it outside of Canvas. So it's not just tied to Canvas, but as you access it and create new charts and stuff like that, you then have access to it in Canvas. You can use it in multiple classes and stuff like that as well. You can have your students create their own. You can have students create on yours. So it's an interesting concept, and a lot more to come on that later. Brand new this semester is Conmigo Teacher Tools. Very specific on this. It is teacher tools. This is not available to your students at all. So while this is using AI, it is not available to the students. This is for you. It is built into Canvas, but it doesn't pull from Canvas to do anything. So for instance, on this screen, you see I've got discussion prompts and learning objectives, exit ticket, lesson hook, lesson plan, that type of thing. You have to load into Conmigo the information that you want it to use to create a discussion prompt. Okay, it's not going to create one based on a page in Canvas. Right?
So separate.
We're hoping
Yeah.
to get there, but that's not the way this works. And it won't create the discussion prompt in Canvas. You would then copy and paste it in. But it is a series of tools, and this is just under plan. There's create, differentiate, support, learn. There's a whole bunch of different segments that they've got put together. This has been going on for a long time. They've been working on this particular tool. Yes.
Have you used Conmigo to create quiz questions based on your content?
I have not used Conmigo to create quiz questions based on my content. I have not found Conmigo to be as useful as we had hoped. Okay, just being blunt on that. I use other tools that do that. I use a free chat GPT.
Yeah.
I haven't paid for any AI, all right? So I use free chat GPT, free Claude, free whatever. That works a lot better. I use PlayLab. If you want a PlayLab account, just email me. I can get you PlayLab and stuff too. This is just a plug. I'll be talking about that in one of my other presentations, but Conmigo came from Canvas, and I will be very interested in, if you use it, please let me know what you think.
I've used it once to write a student a letter of recommendation for law school. So it gave me some good, useful tips and things like that.
Yeah. And that's what I've heard is very specific things like that, like writing a reference letter or something is a great way to use that. So I don't think that it's actually getting rid of you. I think what's happening is it's going to give you some, hopefully it will give you some time later. And that's what I find is when I load something in, I can get 40 questions in 2 minutes, and then I just review the questions and put them in, rather than me having to spend 2 hours writing 15, 20 questions on a quiz. I can do it in the matter of 15, 20 minutes. So. Canvas speed grader feedback. Oh, Conmigo, sorry. Conmigo is on the left navigation. You might have to enable it in your class, but it's part of the course navigation in your class. Canvas feedback. They've added, it even says new right now, but you can click and you can actually do a recording back. The nice part though is it will record your screen as well. So you can demonstrate to the student what they did wrong or what you want them to know. It'll record your voice, your image, and the screen, or whatever combination you want. Okay, so it does it for the one student. This isn't something that you then can just reuse over and over again, but it is really nice to be able to do that. And supposedly it's auto captioned. Don't know how good the captioning is, but at least it does give that captioning. So why is this useful? If you're walking through a page of information from the student and you want to explain why something's not right, it's kind of nice to actually be able to do that instead of typing in or recording. Okay, in paragraph 3, the 4th word, okay, actually show them on the screen.
Careful what you say, you know?
And do be careful what you say. Absolutely.
Being recorded.
You also do have the ability to store comments for future use. I did this and found it really useful and really big headache at the same time. Okay, what do I mean by that? When you store it for future use, it strips out all line breaks and stuff like that. So myself, when I mean, even when I send an email, it's not one paragraph. I break it apart. I put my name in, thank you, or whatever. I try to have it look kind of nice. It strips it all out and it's all one big paragraph. Okay, the one thing I didn't like. The other is when you do it, it's really nice because if you type the same words every time for the same type of comment, it will pop that up. And every other comment that starts the same way.
It like remembers basically.
So you tell it to remember this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's not going to remember every comment you've made. You tell it to remember the comment, but when it remembers the comment and you start typing another comment, it will come up and list those that you can just click on. But if you start your comments the same way every time, even though it's 4 different types of comments, it will give you all of those comments every time. So think about that. Maybe start certain type of comment with a different word or something, and then strip that word out. Something like that. Think about it when you're doing it, because otherwise it became much less useful later on in the semester for me. Just, things you learn when you actually teach a class instead of tell people what to do. So
I use this feature, but now I've learned to put the class name and the assignment. So I'll say like Management 104, Discussion 1, and then my comment. Because then when I'm looking for it again, it pops up even in my other classes.
Yeah.
So I've learned to do that and it's helpful.
So basically, the more organized you are on it, the more you think ahead, the more useful those will be. Like I said, the things you learn when you.
It doesn't
actually are
auto
practicing.
save your like video though, or audio.
To my knowledge, it will not do anything with the video.
Dang. Usually math people make the same mistakes. It's like, repeat, you know?
Yeah, well, you could put a link to a video
Right.
and have a YouTube or 3C Media video
Yeah, okay.
that you upload that way. So, all right, discussion summary. This is again really, really new. So discussion summary is something that you can turn on for you. This is not for students at all. So what it will do is it will go through your discussion and summarize it, summarize all of the responses. So you can see what the students, how were they responding? What did they say? And it's a general summary of that discussion.
From all the students.
From all the students. It's not from an individual student, it's from all of the students. So you get to see just that overview. Now, if you're trying to grade or something like that, this is useless. But if you're trying to see what the general tone is of a discussion, it's a really nice summary for you. It's at the top of the discussion, next to where you can expand the threads and assign it, right in between the two, there is a button that says summarize. And we have that turned on here. Again, it's something, play with it. I'm very curious as to how you find it useful. Hopefully people find it useful. This last semester did not even use it once when I was teaching. Because I was too worried about what individual students were saying rather than everybody. So, Canvas rubric redesign. This has changed a little even over the last semester. So what it is they've gotten away from the blocky old way of looking at it, and they've created, and it looks a lot nicer. It's a much more modern look. When they did that, they've done some other things that they are constantly trying to improve right now, because it just, they give you the ability to look at it the old way, they give you the ability to look at it the new way, but they weren't, at first, they weren't keeping track of, if you changed it, they wouldn't keep track of, oh, you don't want to look at it the traditional way, you want to look at it in line or horizontally or something like that. So they're making those changes, but in doing this, they've now got a much better idea of that you can duplicate rubrics, right? Why is that nice? Because before, you really didn't have a one button duplicate. You recreated, or kind of a save as, it was a lot more difficult. Now it's pretty easy to duplicate rubrics. The criteria builder actually makes a lot more sense than it did before as well. And one of the downsides is, I believe it's still the case, they said that they're getting rid of it, but I think it's still the case, and that is that you have to have a point value for each item on the rubric. So it can be, by the way, 0.001, 0.002, 0.003, or something like that. You can then, when you grade it, when you use a rubric, you can get rid of the points. That works. But when you're creating the rubric itself, you do have to have point values in it, as the last I have seen on that. So we did this a little while ago, a couple years ago, but I get questions about it all the time still, so I wanted to make sure I mention it. If you go back to that apps portal I was talking about at the very beginning, you've got the ability to go into your IVC student. Okay, that is you as a student in your class. Canvas does not know you're not a student. Okay, so missing assignments show up on there. Whatever grade you do, any submission you do. So a hint for using this. Say you want to put a student's work through Turnitin, but you're not going to have Turnitin for the whole class. Download the student's work, create an assignment just for your fake student with Turnitin, and upload it to there. Nobody knows you did it.
Secret.
Secret. And by the way, that's exactly what I do when you send me a document that you ask, hey, was this plagiarized? This is exactly what I do. So, and you can have multiple submissions. So you can do multiple students. You can have multiple assignments. Just assign them to yourself. And it works out really well. But Canvas does not know you're not a student. This also means that if you're using publisher material, you can go into the publisher website and you're going as the student. You're not going with your credentials. And that can be really, really nice to see exactly, does this link actually work? So
But you would have to get the publisher to give you access.
most publishers will gladly give you one account for free.
Yeah.
And you tell them what you want to use it for, and oh yeah, here's an access code. Or you can sign up for a free account or something like that. Because most people want to do this the first couple of weeks of the semester and then they're done. And usually they give you what, about a 15-day, or your students a 15-day free account. So. All right, on Pages, you have the ability to set a Canvas page up to publish on a particular date. So this can be useful if you have, like my class, I release things on very specific days for specific reasons, and this literally will not allow anybody access to it. You hit publish, but it won't allow access. It will publish on that date at that time. So
Do the students see that it's available, but not until a certain date?
they may see it on, actually, no, they would not see it because it's not even published really.
Oh, okay, so they can't see it, you know, like,
Yep.
you set a discussion for a certain day, like this isn't
Right.
available till, okay.
Yeah, then it would show up, the discussion, for instance, assignment will show up in the syllabus, for instance.
Right.
They won't even see that.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And you have an option in the syllabus tab in Canvas of showing the course summary or not showing it. Used to be that, at least to my knowledge, it always showed all the assignments that you had in there that were published. Okay, now you can just click a button and turn that off. So it's only your syllabus that's in there. Completely up to you which one you want to use or use it at all. Showing module progress. At the very top of the screen, there's a button that says show module progress. If you have used modules and you set it up and you have prerequisites and all of that stuff, this is really, really nice. Otherwise, you can still see where the students have gone through, what they have access to by clicking on view module progress in the individual student. The nice part about this is it lets you, gives you a clue. When somebody says, oh, I can't see such and such. Oh, maybe not. I wonder why. And you can look at it a little bit. It's a quick, easy way, and it says when they've completed the different aspects of it. Canvas discussion announcement redesign. And coming at the end of January, hopefully, is the dual due dates in discussions. So the discussions redesign, some things I like, some things I don't, but you know, they're trying to improve things, or at least make them more modern. The discussions redesign has been pretty good, but it's allowing for more threaded replies, giving you options for threading, not threading, and stuff like that. There's certain discussions that you don't want threaded. 90% of discussions you do. At the beginning of last semester, they turned off all of the threading for all new discussions, and then we had to turn them back on, and that's been a whole debacle. I'm hoping that take a look at that basically before the semester begins on your class. Just make sure that everything is marked for threaded, typically. Things that you don't want threaded. Threaded means that students are replying to other students, okay? Non-threaded means they're only replying to you, to the main post. So make sure that it's set the way you want it in your class. The dual due dates one of the things that everybody has hated about discussions in Canvas is that if you want students to submit before a particular date, but really the assignment is not due until another date, maybe you want them to submit and then reply or something like that, everything they did after the due date was late.
Right.
Okay, and so students were constantly getting late work or something like that, or you were making a due date and then a fake tell them stuff. It just was a hassle. So what they're doing is they're building in the concept of the assignment's due here, and then the assignment is also due. The discussion is due on Thursday night at midnight and on Sunday night at midnight.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
What's always bothered me on the reply post is you don't really know what they're replying to. Have they ever resolved that?
So you're talking about the replies when you're grading student work.
Yeah, when you say you have
Yeah.
to post to a couple other students.
The
Post.
only thing you can do to that is open it up and see it, view it in context. And then go back into the speed grader and grade their work. The other option is to have the students actually, if you give them, you assign a peer review, then it will show in the comments for that other person's peer review, but you don't know what that student commented. So yes, I gave way too many discussions this last semester to my class, and every week I was fighting this battle, which one was right, and
Yeah, because I don't know
Sure.
necessarily what are they replying to. It's like going back and forth, you know.
yeah. Hopefully they will figure something out, but honestly, I'm also now seeing if maybe we've got some other options for discussions. The things, like I said, the things you learn when you
Start using it as.
when you actually are teaching,
Yeah.
which is, by the way, why several of you have heard me say this. When I interviewed for the job 7 years ago, I suggested that it be required for me to teach a class. And unfortunately, they can't make that happen here at South Orange, so I'm actually teaching a class at Cypress.
Gotcha.
So,
Nice.
but yes, I've learned a lot from one semester. And I'm learning, I've got more to learn. All right, so you also have the ability to create a points-based grading scheme. Now, this is going to be important as we go to Banner, because once we go to Banner, one of the things that they're saying that they're going to give us in Banner is the ability to, at the end of the semester, if your Canvas grades are what you want them to be, you basically hit a button and it pulls the grades into Canvas or into Banner, and then you can go through the grades and verify that they're right and submit the grades. I did that this last semester. I loved it. I was shocked. It was amazing. At Cypress. Yes.
So they're already on Banner and.
They're on one of the older versions of Banner.
Okay.
So it was kind of nice. That was the one thing I really did like about Banner.
Right.
Is it did not do it throughout the semester. It just at the end of the class gave me the ability to click and post all of my grades into Canvas. And then I literally just ran through them. Yep. And it was, and some of the grades I had done an override on.
Okay.
So somebody was at an 89.9, I gave them a 90.
Don't do that. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, and stuff like that, but it did it. So that means though that you need to make sure that you do use a grading scheme, because it's actually going to go with the letter grade, not the percentage.
Okay.
Okay, because you may, while a lot of people do 90, 80, 70, 60, some people might do 95, 90 or something like that. Depending on what you have for your grading scheme. That's in Canvas under settings. There's a part that says grading scheme. Go ahead and go into that. If you've got questions, let me know. But you can also go with, there's something called a points-based grading scheme that you can use. You can also set the default due time. So all of my assignments are due at midnight. So I can just have it automatically be that. That was what it was before. Some people have all of the assignments due at 11 p.m. And now you can overwrite it for an individual assignment, but it gives you the ability to put that in there all of the time.
I'm signing
Is-
up for Roland's class. I need a new car anyway. If I ever get
I'm
any
giving him a new
9.9,
car.
I'm giving him a new car.
in the grade book, is there a way it's always, bothersome? They think they're getting an A, but they've only completed like 2/3 of the assignments or something like that.
Yeah, so for that, in the grade book, there's a setting for mark all non-submission or everything that's not submitted as 0. When you do
Uh-huh.
that, automatically, when it hits the due date, it gives them a 0. You can
Okay.
always override it. Okay, understand everything I'm talking about, you have the ability to override. But
That's in the grade
they
book.
get a 0, and now instead of them thinking they have an A,
And you have to
they
do
see
that.
what they've got.
You have to do that in the beginning of before the
You can do it
semester
anytime.
starts. Oh, it's still okay. There's a moment where you had to do it like at the beginning, or otherwise, like if you try to do it at the end, it wouldn't go back and reference it.
It doesn't, I'm trying to remember, I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember.
That was
where
like there was a
is.
period where that was happening. Like, whatever. If it works,
But yeah, it works pretty much any time that I've seen. Now, there's been times when I've gone in and entered 0s
yeah.
myself anyway, but yeah.
Tim.
You've got the
third
final
part-
grade override that's also in there. So you just turn that on in settings, and then it gives you that ability to change a B to an A. Exactly what I was just talking about.
Tim,
Tim,
I
question
have
on-
a, I have a question. I just want to make sure that when we go to banner, can I use percentage for the relative weight of the categories or no?
So it is going to be based on under settings, grading scheme,
Uh-huh.
whatever you have in there, that letter grade is what's going to come across to banner. So you will be
Okay.
setting up a grading scheme. You have to
Yes,
have a grading
so
scheme. in order to
I
go into
already have that. Do I have to
that.
change it
Whatever
to
that letter
point?
is will come across.
Do I have to change it to point or percentage?
Nope, neither one.
Okay, then
Either
that's
one.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Tim. This is
It's gonna be the
Susan.
letter.
I have hi. Could I ask a quick question, Tim, while you're on this?
Well, so just a second.
Do-
I've got a whole bunch more things. I'm about halfway through the presentation. So I'm gonna hold off on some of the questions at the end you can ask, or I've got another session that's simply ask me any question you want. All right, so I'm gonna hold off on a lot of these questions because I wanna make sure I get through a couple more of these things. Especially, I think the next one after this is a fun one, a little toy for you. So, but I definitely do want to hear from you, Susan, later. So duplicate events for a section. So in the Canvas calendar, you can create an event and then you can duplicate it and have it duplicated for the different sections and have it different for each section. So if we've cross-listed your class, you can have things based on the section rather than based on the fact that it's that class. So it's when you create the event, click on more options, and then it allows different due dates, and it allows you to have recurring. So this is useful for if you're putting a Zoom link, for instance, into there. If you use Tech Connect Zoom, it will automatically do it. But if you're doing something like that, something that's going to recur throughout your class, this is a nice way of adding that in Canvas directly. Yep. New quizzes. New quizzes now, the item banks. When you do a course copy, it will actually copy the item bank. And so now you can actually download the item banks. This has been one of my pet peeves about new quizzes. So you could not do that. So if you were teaching here at IVC and at Saddleback, you had to recreate your item banks before. That's no longer the case. It does allow anonymous grading, and you can do a build on last attempt. So this is where they're finally getting to the point where I'm very interested in them. They still haven't fixed their major bugs, but they've added a couple of features that are really cool. For instance, that build on last attempt. So let's say you have a practice test for your final. you can give them 3 attempts, and after the end of the first attempt, it's graded, and then they get only the questions they got wrong for their next attempt, and then only the questions they got wrong for another attempt. So it can build on their last, once they already know it, the next time they go through, they only get the stuff that they didn't have right. And in the hope that they're going to improve and have studied the stuff that they didn't know. So they're improving new quizzes. They just haven't quite fixed a couple of the bugs that I'm really, really looking forward to. So one of the pains for those of us who use real computers and not Macs is that you can't open a Pages file or any of the other iWork files from a Mac. So what do? We make students submit through PDF or Word or something like that. Not a hard thing, but a lot of students are using Macs. They don't know how, can't figure out how to do a file save as. So because they can't figure out how to do that, Canvas now has that built in so that they can actually submit an iWork file as well, a Pages file. So
It's doing everything for them now. They can
yes.
edit TikTok videos, but they can't convert it to PDF.
Exactly. Also remind your students on the left-hand side in Canvas, there is the Student Hub. This allows them to go in and get access to all kinds of student services here on campus. It's been in there for a couple of years. If you see anything that needs to change, anything like that, please let us know. Cheryl Bailey in the library is the main one who handles that, but I can fix anything as well. But it's there, and it's a really great resource that does keep being updated for your students. If you want your students to learn how to use Canvas, a good option is Passport to Canvas. So there's a link that I'll send out in my next tips and tricks that is just put that in your class. They click on that and they go in and it walks them through how to use Canvas, written by Canvas. Okay, so it's got videos, it's got all kinds of different things that Canvas has put together on how to actually use Canvas. It's a really nice feature. And here is the fun one. All right, and by the way, I'm still on point 1 of my agenda. So Canvas, if you create a page that doesn't exist, if you try to go to a page that doesn't exist, when you get to that page not found, hit the space bar and refresh the page and you'll get games, and you can refresh it again and get a different game. So this is 3 of the games, for instance, that are built into Canvas. So just a little bit of fun for when you're stressed out and you hit that page that doesn't exist and you're just frustrated. Now, how do you make a page not exist? You go to any page in Canvas and put a dash at the end of it. And hit enter, and the page doesn't exist, and you can go to that. So this is for you, this is for your students. It's just every once in a while, it's kind of fun to go and say, oh, just for a minute, I want to see something different. And just a little game. And it's 3 different games that are shown here. They keep adding them over time as well, because they do realize that people do enjoy having a little Easter egg. All right, so now let's take a look at some LTIs. CD Labs. Yes, I actually really do like that company. They do a really good job. They've got really good products. We have had Design Plus for several years, and on the right is a toolbar that comes up, and you can create templates. You can use this, and it really elevates the look of your class very, very quickly. For me, yes, I keep referencing back to my teaching because I finally have that as a reference again. Rupa's in here smiling because she's heard me on this for several years. But I was given a class that had no formatting in it at all. And from the very first page on, it really looks like it belongs together and stuff like that. And I did it as fast as absolutely possible because I got my class on Wednesday and published it on Sunday. So, you know, the typical last minute adjunct way of doing it, So I was thankful to get a class, to be able to teach as well as to get the content for the class. And so it made it work very quickly, but that's how I did it. And Design Plus, the sidebar is great. And they've got a new one that this summer everybody will be forced onto. And so I'll have some videos and stuff like that as well on it. You also have the ability to run something called You Do It. You Do It scans your class. It allows you to fix accessibility issues in your class right there in that tool. Identifies them and lets you fix them. But one of the other really cool things, earlier I mentioned you find syllabus in your class and you're swapping that out. Well, you can actually swap out an individual file with another file in your class. You go in and you say, replace this file with, and you give it another file, and it doesn't change any of the links. It uses that new file. And that's built into You Do It as well as part of this. So it's a really nice feature that can save you a lot of time, especially when it comes to the syllabus. Is a good example for that. Then you've got Tidy Up. Tidy Up is a system that I suggest run it today. Okay, run it on your new class. You copied your class into a new class. You still got your old class, so you can get back to that and pull any information you want. But Tidy Up will go through your class, identify all of the stuff that has all the pages, assignments, discussions, quizzes, and files that you are not using, and let you delete those. Now, why I said delete, okay? I didn't say just hide, I said delete on purpose, because you can then go back to last semester's and pull it in if you need it. But it gives you the list and you select what you want to delete. You can say to delete them all, or you can go through individually. It will not let you delete something that's already published, that's already in use. There is one caveat to that. If Tidy Up does not go into question banks. So if you're using pictures in a question bank, be very careful about deleting those. Other than that, this is a great way of going through your class and cleaning it up. I did it, so I taught literally for one semester. I did it when I imported for this next semester and got rid of about 30 pages that I had created and realized I never used. And it did it for me. I didn't have to go through and click, delete, click, delete, click, delete.
What is the benefit of Tidy Up though? So what if I have unused pages?
So let's say that you're like somebody that's in the upper left-hand corner of my screen right now.
Don't bring me up again, but I got you. I'm gonna do it right now.
I use you as an example, John, because I know you can handle it, and because this happened to you actually a couple of years ago. When I remember you had something like 200 assignments in your assignments page, and it was taking minutes to load on our connection here. This was not a case of, oh, I'm on dial-up. It was dial-up speed on campus. All right. What this does, because you've already got this stuff in the last semester, you can always pull it in. But it cleans up all of that other garbage. And now, instead of you having syllabus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, whatever, it will have just the current. And it makes it so much easier later when you're going back and you're trying to see which one of these is the right one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like spring cleaning. Okay. So it's not quite spring. This would be winter cleaning right now. Clean up your class. And do it before the semester, because like I said, you can always pull back in from last semester. By the way, if you do create something new and delete it, or you make a change to something and then you delete it, there is something called an undelete as well. So if you have a problem with that, let me know. I can help you undelete things that you've deleted in your class. But Tidy Up is really, really nice for just cleaning it up. Even like I said, a brand new class, I found a whole bunch of stuff that I just cleaned up and it just made it a lot nicer. So.
So is it like when I try to insert a page and it'll show me like all the pages I've created, that type of thing?
that will show you all the pages.
Well, I mean, a lot of times when I go in, I say I want to insert a page of something that I've used before. I see a humongous list of things that looks like I've been using for years.
Well, and that's why you would use Tidy Up, is
Yeah.
because if you don't, you literally look through every single page, every assignment, everything, every time you go into modules and you say add it in. Absolutely. Right now there is no limit for the amount of information that is stored in Canvas. So this is not something that, oh, we're running out of space or anything like that. That's not what this is about. This is about just making your life easier so you don't have to go through that list of 200 items every time you want to find the 199th item. So on the accessibility front, we also have something called the PopeTech Accessibility Scanner. It also will scan your class and check for accessibility issues. I like to use, you do it, and then when I'm done with that, then I'll run through PopeTech just to make sure that it didn't miss something. No scanners 100%. But hopefully if 2 of them are 99, I'm at least getting really close. And once you've completed one and you got it really good, then the other one goes a lot easier. So a couple things about other things about LTIs. Proctorio. Proctorio is now designed to run on a hotspot. So if students are in at a coffee shop taking a test, they can use Proctorio. If they're on using their cell phone as a hotspot, they can use Proctorio. If they're whatever, basically they don't need to worry about having to have really high-speed internet anymore. That said, if you have pictures in your class and your quizzes, that will require a faster connection. So be careful having images, and heavy images especially, in your class, because that alone, that has nothing to do with Proctorio. Proctorio just adds a little bit, and so it makes it even slower for the students. ScreenPal, Screencast-O-Matic, if you're familiar with that, got renamed ScreenPal. It's exactly the same system. We still have licenses. If you are interested in using it, if you're used to using Camtasia or have in the past and you want to use it, this is what I use. In fact, for my teaching, I actually went and bought it myself. I don't know if they have it, but not using our license, you can, it was 36 bucks for a year. So very cheap for that, for me to just buy personally, but we have it here. We pay every year for 100 licenses. We never use them up because they've got a really cool, funky license policy. So please go to screenpal.com/Irvine Valley College. Irvine Valley College is one word, and you can go ahead and install it on your personal device. You can install it on, we'll install it on your computer here and stuff. Works on Mac, works on Windows. Actually, it'll even work on Chromebooks. But it's really simple for recording and it's simple for editing. Doesn't do really fancy, you know, five channels of audio and stuff like that, but it will do a couple and stuff. So it's pretty nice for most people's needs. Also for LTIs, Turnitin. We have Turnitin Framework, Turnitin Draft Coach, and AI detection is built into Turnitin. And it does include AI paraphrasing. That said, it hasn't. Take your judgment over that any day when it comes to AI. When it cannot, it will not be 100%. No AI detector is. So just be careful when it comes to saying, hey, you know, student, you're using AI or something like that. In fact, I know the very first assignment, the very first paper, very first everything. I mean, literally, I clicked on, okay, grade this one, was 100% written by AI. It even had in the middle of it, insert citation here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I knew it was 100% written by AI. The student got 5 points out of 20 or whatever it was because they, you know, that's the grade they deserved for the writing that was put in there. I did not say AI on it. I did encourage my students this semester to not use AI to do the whole thing, but think about that. Don't necessarily go with an AI checker and say, this said you did it, therefore it must be, because realize that the opposite is also true. With 2 clicks, I can make any AI detector not detect completely written by AI work. And the 2 clicks are using another AI to do it. So if I take something written in ChatGPT, put it through an AI paraphraser, no detector will be accurate. So just be careful with that.
Good luck, English department.
Yeah. Zoom, Student Connect no longer exists. That's been a little bit, but Tech Connect Zoom, you've got appointments that are available, and this will set it up for all of your class. The thing about appointments that I don't like is it's not one link. It does a separate link for every appointment. So if you have 15-minute appointments and 5 of them in a row, it's going to give 5 links. And so it's rather interesting and rather difficult for me. I like to have just one meeting that I go into and I just sit there, but it allows students to sign up ahead of time, sends you an email, sends them an email, click on the link and join and you're in. So it is nice that way. Just depending on how you want to do office hours, especially if you have office hours that are scheduled over time. This is a really nice way of doing it because then you get the reminder and you know that, oh, okay, this time is scheduled for that. And no student's going to hop in the middle of what you're doing. You also have some options for window layout. So for instance, you see I'm using my laptop. My laptop is actually running the Zoom meeting that's here in this classroom. I'm in one of our new lecture capture, not even lecture capture, this is a HyFlex classroom. And you see that the camera is following me. It's got one thing on the board back here at the back wall. It's got all of the people who are online. I've even got the chat on it and stuff like that. In order to do this, the computer here is on, it's just a client. In fact, I logged into the computer, but I did not log into Zoom on it. That's why it's called Classroom, I think, on the screen here. You've got options for how you want to organize the windows in Zoom a lot better now. It used to be that you had to just do certain things. They've expanded it quite a bit. And so that's what I did here is I popped out the chat. I popped out participants, and actually in this case, I popped out all of the images on the back wall, and the computer behind me and the side wall here are what I'm presenting so that the people in the room can see that. That's all part built into Zoom, nothing special. It's got the ability to do shareable notes. And there's a number of different host tools that Zoom has created. So before you host your first meeting with students and stuff like that, look into those. Host a meeting with yourself and see what these new tools are. There's some really fun stuff, but do pay attention to that and look at it before all of a sudden you're in the middle of it and go, oh, what does this do? All right. And feel free, by the way, to contact me. I'll hop on a Zoom with you. I'll hop on your Zoom and you can play with it. We can take a look at what it would look like as well. It also has AI Companion. My suggestion is I love using it and I almost never send it out unless somebody specifically requests it because I find it's less than accurate. Okay, I don't want to call it quite inaccurate, but it's not completely accurate. And what do I mean by that? I've said something, you've heard somebody else in the room say something, and this is going to say that Classroom said it. Okay, so, and it might not be exactly what was expected. I could say that, for instance, I'll go over this in a minute, and it will say that as a follow-up, Tim is going to go over that information. Well, I already did in the meeting. So it's not a replacement for being in the meeting, but it is nice to go back through and go, oh yeah, these are some of the topics that we discussed. So it can be useful, but do be careful using that instead of showing up. Skin tone, you can actually pick your skin tone color and stuff like that. Hand gestures, Q&A in meetings, sign language interpretation view, and shareable in meeting notes. All are now built into there. Some other tools, and I'm gonna go really fast on this, sorry. Adjust all. Man, I wish I had that for my class. I don't have it. It is a really nice feature. Flip is gone. No flip grid, nothing like that. So Padlet is another option for you, and use Padlet for discussions. If you're interested in Padlet, let me know and I can get you an account. We've got a whole bunch of accounts available. So it's a great tool. Remember, you've got play pause it for playing a video, pausing the video and asking questions, playing it again. ScreenPal we talked about. Grackle will create a separate document. And here's contact information. With that said, thank you for attending, and I'm gonna stop recording because I know some people probably are waiting to ask questions until I do that.